Hey everyone, it's the Michael Greenwood podcast. Today I have got Ness Streete with me on the podcast. Welcome to the show, Ness. Do you want to give us a quick intro and tell us what you do?
Absolutely, and thank you very much for having me, Michael. As you said, my name is Ness Streete, and I am the proud owner of a company called Plethora of Words, a social media management company, which I run out of Essex, but I am nationwide for clients of all shapes and sizes. I deal with anything social media, so I do Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok. I'm not really a Snapchat kind of an age, I'm not going to lie. But I can't see that that's going to work for many clients, to be fair. I do blogs and articles, I do a lot of video content for my clients, and I do website updates and builds.
Brilliant. So let's get into social media then, because I know it's always been a hot topic, and I've got to say, probably 15 years ago, I was kind of skeptical about it and all that kind of thing. But a lot of people were, but obviously it's one of the biggest business drivers now. A lot of my audience, they'll want to know about that. Do you want to unpack that? Let me know about your process, kind of clients you work with, maybe some social media techniques you've got and what's changed over the last 5 years.
I work with companies of all shapes and sizes. I literally work with tradespeople right up to very large national companies, and all of their needs are different, and all of their needs have evolved in the time I've been doing this, that without a shadow of a doubt. The smaller companies just haven't got the time to deal. They might take the pictures of the products or the services, but they don't do anything with them. They haven't got time. So over to me, and they literally fire me what they've done that day or that week, and I build it depending on the platform, how it's built, what's said, the SEO, the hashtags are all very different from Insta, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, whether or not something likes a video, what length video does that particular platform like, do we just put some really good single imagery stuff out there for them, do we do job adverts? Some of my guys have lots of not turnover of staff, but they have a lot of tradespeople they need, so we do a lot of adverts. Getting them in front of the right audiences has been one of the biggest issues, because it means me joining lots and lots of groups as the company, and then firing out the content to the right groups. That's always been a bit of a long one for me. But we get there in the end.
So, when did you start offering social media management as a service?
I got made redundant at the beginning of COVID, and a couple of local companies were still operating, but obviously they needed backup, support, because offices were closed. So I picked that up, and then word of mouth, I picked another one up, word of mouth, I picked another one up. My company growth has been very organic and very personal, because I like to work with people that I like, and I want to be part of their team, which is why my company's not massive. I don't just want to whack 20 posts out a week and hope that something sticks. I want to know it's your birthday. I want to know that John's just passed something with a certificate. I want to know this, I want to know that, because I want the world to see that your company is a really personable one. And that's really, really important to me. Even couple of my national clients, we still go in on a very personal level, and I'm part of each of those teams. I'm involved with their meetings, weekly or monthly. I get invited to the Christmas parties with a lot of my clients. So it's nice to feel, although I run my own company and I work completely remotely on my own, I'm part of about 7 or 8 different teams, and I love it, because my days are all very varied.
So what is your day to day then? So you everything's remote. Do you meet any clients face to face as well? Have you found that changed since?
Obviously, during COVID, we didn't see anybody apart from on a dog walk. I liked to visit my clients when I can. I like to go out on site for the sort of like the building people that I work with, because I will spot a video opportunity or a photo op while I'm on site, seeing the guys having a chat, making sure everybody's got PPE on, because there's always somebody that will spot something wrong if you put it on LinkedIn. So you have to be really, really careful about what you're putting out there on video or on images. The nationals, I go up about once, twice a year. make a bit of a weekend of it, to hang around in the office on one day and then usually go shopping in Manchester on the second day, which is good fun with a hangover normally.
AI, it's an hot topic, obviously.
Yeah.
I've got my opinions on it. I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yes.
What do you think to it?
It has impacted on my business, I'm not going to lie, because if you can use an AI app, you think you're a social media manager. You're not. You've put 3 words in and it's told you something and picked an image for you. That isn't personable. And I find it a bit cold. But it has impacted, especially with some of the companies that haven't got such a big budget. You know, if they're only paying $14.99 for that app a month, I'm more expensive than that, but they're not going to get that service from an app. It's handy for me when I'm writing bigger blogs and articles, because although I'll write it myself, I will drop it through a couple of selections of AI options that I've got just to make sure the SEO's right. But then I have to take it back out and make it British, because they're not, most AI isn't British, and it doesn't sound English. It doesn't sound like a company in Basildon. So you have to re-personalise it. So yeah, it has impacted. It is, I mean, some of it's amazing, and some of the imagery stuff is absolutely outstanding. But it has definitely had an impact on my business.
Somebody recently, one of my mentors actually, in a YouTube video, said he likened AI to like kids these days. A lot of kids these days at school, apparently, a lot of them, they can't tell time with an analog, watch. They've got to go digital, and then the calculator replaces the almost like ability to do the calculations. You know, when you're at the supermarket in your head. I think there'll be a big divide with AI. I use AI every day with my business. I think it's amazing, but I do think I say it's a double-edged sword, because people who just, like you said, blindly type a prompt in and then ask for something to be spat out, it will be generic and it'll be garbage in, garbage out, as they say. But if you use it and have critical thinking and really feed the prompts in, and then you can ask AI to analyze. I can get a video that a client's done, or a prospect, if they've done some video in the past, and get that transcript and feed it into AI and ask for a script like the tone of voice, and that's amazing. I do that all the time, and that helps me with things like script writing for a lot of the work that I do in terms of digital marketing, paid ads, videography, content creation. So it's amazing for that. But I do think that people, and I think a lot of jobs will be replaced because of it as well, and it'll be the people who can't use it, without past the kind of surface level, putting a few prompts in and stuff like that. I really don't like to see there were a solar company who never went ahead as a client, and they were using somebody for social media, and they were just spitting out these horrible, the title that I'm looking at, that I'm thinking about, these horrible images onto the website blog, and they were like, the ones where they've got that horrible big cheesy grin on the face, and it's horrible.
And it's fake.
It's horrible, and it's the same as well. There's no variety. Variety is the spice of life, and I think a good social media campaign for me is where you're testing different things, you're testing and measuring, you're A/B testing, and you're not just keeping to the same. You want to have the brand identity going, but you don't want to just spit out loads of AI, because you can tell, can't you? You can tell. It can be so that's my opinion on AI. Anyway.
I would agree with that. I mean, obviously I do use it, but it's not. If somebody switched AI off, my company would not fold, because I'm naturally quite good at writing things. I'm naturally quite good at putting something visual to go with that wording that's going to work for the client to make them money and get them seen. So for me, but I do agree with you on the younger generation. My son's 16, and unfortunately I'm very old school, so he can read an ordnance survey map and he can tell the time with a proper clock. In fact, they're the only ones we've got downstairs, so he has to use them. I haven't got anything digital downstairs
Very
at all.
good.
Haven't even switched the oven one on.
It's how you bring them up. It's the environment that they're in. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, to be honest, we're talking about youngsters, lockdown for us was probably the best thing that ever happened to him, because he learnt to do everything. Literally everything. He learnt to iron, he learnt to grow vegetables, he learnt to garden, he learnt to cut grass, he learnt to break kindling up, he learnt to cook, he learnt to use the washing machine. He was just like my little servant for a year. Which sounds awful. But the life skills that time gave him were irreplaceable. He gets his GCSE results next month and he's like, oh, you know, we missed a year and a half of school. I'm like, but you can do things that other people of your age can't do. So, yeah. So.
Yeah, I think if my kids were going to school now, they both left school now, but if they were going to school now and just starting, I would consider homeschooling. I don't know what your opinion is on that, but I think as a business owner, I can.
Each to their own, but I think that camaraderie with a peer group at school is important, but not necessarily what they're being taught in school, because obviously he's just finished his GCSE, so there was a lot of revision going on in this house. And I'm 50 and I'm not an idiot. And I was looking at it going, why in the hell do you even need to know that? Why is that even important? What is that about? And for English, they're reading the same book that I read 35 years ago for an exam. So I actually still had a copy of it randomly in the house, which I hadn't given back to the school. But no, I think, homeschooling it's a lifestyle challenge. But I would still be concerned about having a peer group and a group of friends, because that's just as important as your education at school.
Communication, leadership as well, and critical thinking are some of the pillars of doing well. I'm not one of the kind of people who think that everybody should be a business person, because I don't think there's a lot of stress involved. Obviously, if you're chasing payments or you're looking for new business, it can be there's lots of plates to spin, and it's nice to thinking back to when I had a 9-well-5. You finish your clock off at 5 if you've got that kind of job, and you can just forget it until the next day. But yeah, I just think the school system, I'm not that convinced now if the school system is still fit for purpose, because it was
changed. The world's evolved. Schooling hasn't changed. It hasn't changed, apart from some of the choices they get. I dislike the fact that they're all being pushed to go to university, because some people just don't need it. I mean, I'm a best-selling author, I run my own company, and I barely finished school. I think I did them a favour and turned up for like 5 of my GCSEs. So, but I'm okay. But, it's like, oh, have you got a degree? Have you got 10 GCSEs? How many A-levels have you got? The pressure on them now to all be conforming to, you've got to be overly clever. Some kids just aren't naturally built that way, but they might be the best carpenter you'll ever meet. They might be the best bricklayer that you'll ever see. She might be the best seamstress you've ever come across. She doesn't need to go to university for that. Doesn't need the debt. Doesn't need the that terrifying fear of failing, I personally think.
There were a big push to university, like 50% of people go to university in Tony Blair era. And I think university is good I've got an IT degree, full disclosure, but and I'm quite technical, but could I have done what I do without that degree? Yeah, I probably wasted quite a bit of time, too much time in education, less time actually, working. And I think the best way of learning business is not to do a business studies course or anything like that, to actually get stuck in and fail forward. But I do think the school system, apparently from the research I've done, it was based on the Prussian system, which was to create obedient and compliant factory workers. So, as far as what I can see, it's no longer really fit for purpose, because there's, you do school 9-well-3, a 9-well-5. You know, it's not dissimilar, is it? So, and then you exchange 5 days to get 2 back at the weekend. It's
A lot
not
of my
really a great
friends
deal,
with
is it?
huge amounts of debt going to uni. And I was working, I was a full-time job, bought my first car, bought my first house, while they're all up to their eyeballs in stress and debt for probably courses they'd probably changed their minds about halfway through, bless them. And they've walked away with not the grades they wanted. And other people like me just went, do you know what, that's not for me. I'm going to just get out there, I'm going to learn, I'm going to cock it up occasionally, I'm going to get fired probably, I'm going to get several different jobs that we don't even need to put on the CV, as you do at that age. But I learned the hard way. And I think sometimes they are the best lessons you can learn.
Hmm.
So
Take me back a bit, Ness, with, like earlier career and, what's led you to what you're doing now. You've got, you've authored one book, is it?
got one book out at the moment. There are a couple more in sketch, but that's about as far as we've got.
What? Sorry.
I started at KFC.
Hmm.
That was character building and brief. If ever there was motivation to pull your socks up and go and find a proper job in the city, working at KFC was it. Because you'd come home stinking of Zinger Burger every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I landed a decent job up in London, worked for insurance companies and loss adjusting companies, which were all very, very interesting, and a big finance company up on Mark Lane. Absolutely amazing companies to work for. Had some incredible bosses who totally respected the fact that I have the focus of Dory. So I'd be always given the ad hoc projects, the things that needed to be done very well and very quickly, because my attention would go. So, and then the longevity of my career span, I did several years as a school attendance officer, having done several years as a nightclub bouncer previous to that. So I spent several years throwing people out and then several years throwing kids in, which was quite an entertaining pattern. And I was there for a very long time at the school. Most of the kids that I was growling at are all now parents, married. So it's all quite... And every time you see them out, they still call me Miss, which I think is hilarious. And then I ended up in facilities management for a little while, which was great fun. But I just wanted a change. I just knew I wanted to do writing, because every time anything in the office that came up to check would be like, oh, can you just have a quick look at that? Can you tidy that up? So I knew that copywriting and that sort of environment was more me. And I got a fantastic job with an amazing company called The Right Impression, and they were the most amazing company I've ever worked for, ever. And Kate and the team were brilliant. But then COVID hit, because it just wasn't happening. So I started up on my own, took a punt, my husband took a deep breath, checked the credit card, and off we went.
So when you were made redundant and you started your freelancing business, is that the first time you'd gone off the beaten path with that? And as well, why didn't you get another job instead?
Why didn't I get a...
Yeah, just wondering what kind of sparked that entrepreneurial spirit in you. From you've been made redundant, you're there. Obviously, you need money.
We were sitting at home not spending any money. My husband was lucky enough to be in an industry that could continue to run, so money was not a massive issue. I wasn't panicking. And I just thought, you know what, you're actually really good at this social media stuff, girl. You know, let's be brave and give it a go. Even if we have to go and work in Tesco's when the world opens again. Don't worry about it. We're not proud. We're just going to do this. And I had the most rubbish laptop, a cheap mobile phone, and an internet cable running up from the router downstairs so I could have peace and quiet in the room that I was working in, because obviously everybody was at home. And that's how it started. I didn't even have enough storage on my laptop to store client information on. I had to go and get another little black box to save everything on. I mean, I started this on real brass tacks. But now, obviously, there's clouds, I've got this, I've got that, I've got 3 screens, you name it, I've got it. And it sort of evolved with the client needs, to be fair. You know, they wanted something a bit better, so I made my company better. No,
It takes a lot of. Did you have a fear of failure? So obviously, a lot of people build up this fear, you know, about starting something new, that it's off the beaten path and everything. Fear's just false expectations appearing real. But it's opposite of fear is opportunity or faith that it's going to work, or you know, just belief, you know, in yourself that you can do it. And we build up. Everybody thinks about, you know, if it doesn't work out, what's the worst? You're not going to die, you know, if it don't work out, your business don't work out. You can always get another job, can't you?
I'd have gone and got a job in Tesco's, or I'd have gone back on the door. I've done whatever needed to be done. I've always been that way. I will always do what needs to be done. Quite a resourceful human being. I think the worst part of it was when I started working for a lovely local company. The first day I put their posts out for them, and then you go, please God, like them. Please, please, please like them. I know you've checked them, but oh God, please make it be okay. And then a month later, I've got like 5 or 6 clients. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I can deal with this. I can be Mr. Clear It one day. I can be Noah's Oak another day. I can be JSR Flooring this afternoon. Yeah, I can do. I'm smashing it out of the park. And I love all of my clients because they're all really, really nice humans to work with, which makes it easier. So it wasn't as scary. I couldn't have imagined retraining as an accountant over lockdown and doing that. That's definitely not a me thing. But, you know, I had options. So, but I thoroughly enjoy what I do. But as I said, I don't want this to get any bigger. I love the clients I've got. I work with one of my best friends from pre-infant school, which is crazy. I work with one of my best friends with her business, and as I say, all of my other clients, I'm part of their business. If you look on their websites under their social media or their marketing department, there's usually a picture of me and my bio about what I am. I am part of their team, and I like that feeling.
That's a good point, that, because a lot of people, when they go from having a job to being a business owner or freelancer, they still have that mindset that they're going to be, you know, this subservient worker. But really, you're looking for these partnerships with businesses where you are their almost like marketing department or social media management department, and it's a very much win-win situation. You're not just a commoditized order taker. You're coming to them with.
I mean, sometimes I'm even somebody's sickness. Can I flip the phones over to you today? Yeah, of course you can. Not a problem. And I'll answer the phones for one of my companies, for one of my clients. Not a problem, because I'm part of their team. But as I said, I don't want it to get much bigger, because I do want to write my next book, definitely, at some point. And obviously my psychic mediumship thing has got a lot bigger recently. And they'll probably end up going the opposite way, which is quite interesting. So
You've got a few things going on there. So that variety's the spice of life, don't they, Ness? And,
yes. Never a boring day around me.
Never, yeah. We're never bored, are we? And I can't remember the last time I was bored. I think I was probably a kid last time I was bored, when there were no internet. So yeah. Do you want to unpack about that venture then, your psychic medium business?
Yeah. I am what they call a natural. I was a bit of an odd child because I used to just come out with things, and with quite a strong parent, it was all very suppressed. And as I've got a lot older and my hormones have changed as a lady, it's got a lot louder again. And I was actually in a breakout room in something that I think you and I met on the same forum, and there was a psychic medium there, and she said to me, "You do know that you've got this talent, why aren't you using it?" And I was like, because I don't really know how to handle it, I don't know how to calm it down, I don't know how to get it right. And I had quite a few sessions with a professional, which paid for by myself, to be able to get it right, get messages to people when they want them, explain things to people, how they feel. And it has gone through the roof in 6 months. I have like several readings a week with people, and it's a lovely feeling when you say somebody's name and they go, "Oh, how did you know that?" I was chatting to a guy not long ago at a party, and I could feel this dog running around my ankles, and I know people don't believe, or they do believe, and it was driving me around the twist. And I looked at this guy and I said, "I'm so sorry. Have you recently lost a dog?" And he went, "Yeah." I went, "Well, Alfie is really irritating." And he just went, "How the hell did you know that?" I said, "Because the dog is here. And the dog is really cross with you because you don't treat your new dog the same." And he was like, "That's insane." And it's, the more training I've had, the bigger it's getting, the clearer things are for people. And a couple of my friends are very unnerved and say to me, "Can you not read me?" And I'm like, "No, I promise I won't do it. I won't do it to you if you don't want me to." So I have days where I switch it off completely, literally. You go almost into a cupboard and turn it off. So you can have a nice quiet day.
So you can switch it. You can switch it off. Yeah.
That was the bit I was scared of, because when I was a lot younger I couldn't. And if you could imagine being at a train station and everybody's getting off the train and you're the only person walking in the opposite direction, that's what it would come in at me like. And it was like completely manic. There'd be like hundreds of people shouting things at me or tapping me or saying things that didn't resonate with me, that I didn't understand when I was 12 or 14. I mean, even now I do a reading. I did a reading for a lovely lady yesterday, and I couldn't quite catch what it was I was supposed to say to her until we moved forward a little bit, and I went, okay, yeah, it's that now, I can see that. Because for me, if it resonates for me, it's quite strange. So if somebody was talking about safari, I'd probably see Whips Zoo or something, because I've never been on a safari. But we'd get there in the end. So with a lot of training and a lot of getting it wrong, because you do, we don't, not everything is spot on. But I would say I am 98% spot on. I told a friend of mine 3 weeks ago that they were going to have a grandchild, and yesterday she said, "I actually knew." She said, "But I can't believe that you knew." She said, "But now they've had the scan, I can tell you." And I was like, "I already knew." And then I ruined the baby reveal for her, but I'm not going to do that on here in case any of the family watch it. But yeah, it's fascinating. It's possibly the most interesting thing I've ever done in my life. And my husband and my son, believe it or not, are really supportive, really, really supportive. Because my husband's always known there was something a bit odd about me. Because the night I met him, I told him he was my future husband. Because I just knew. He just walked up to me and I was like, "I don't care who you are, what you're doing. I don't care if you're married already. Tough. We're getting married in 6 months."
Does it feel like intuition?
Yes, massively.
Like just a knowing?
It's, if you were driving somewhere and you were in your car and you'd get this feeling like, M25 ain't a good plan today. My husband was driving on the A12 not long ago, and I phoned him and made him detour somewhere else without having to freak him out. If he'd have continued, he'd have been in a very large pile-up. He'd have been in the middle of it, without a doubt. So he trusts my intuitions implicitly. So, and he travels a lot, and I'm always worried about him driving.
So there's a realm beyond this then? Is it the universe? Is it, because I always thought there was something beyond,
There is.
I'm quite spiritual. I believe in God. I'm a Christian. You want to unpack it? What is it that is tapping into it the right word, or tuning into it, or
feeling your way into. A lot of people, when they go, they've gone. They don't want to come back. They've got nothing to say. They don't want to tell you where they hid the pearls. They're not interested in telling you the number to the combination for the money that you think they've left you. They don't want to come back. Sometimes, if you could imagine, I mean, obviously we die, we are, we go to church, or we get cremated, whatever, we go in the ground. There is something else after that, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't. Everybody says, "Oh, you're only on this planet a short time." Yeah, for this time, I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll be back. So yes, for me, it's quite a small percentage of those that have passed that still like to hang around, that want to come back and say hello, that want to tell you that the wedding ring you threw in that drawer 5 years ago really should be in a box because it's really expensive. Little things like that. I did a reading for somebody a couple of days ago, and into my space came one of the tallest spirit people I've ever seen in my life. He was like 6'4". They're normally quite little in my head. He was huge. And I asked her if she didn't resonate with her. Did one the next afternoon. And I said, "I'm really, really sorry." I said, "I've got this really tall guy walking around my kitchen. Not bothering me, didn't speak, didn't do anything." I said, "His name's George." He said, "That's my granddad." So he'd come in early knowing that this other woman was going to have a reading with me, and he didn't have anything to say until I was in front of her, and then we couldn't shut him up. It was hilarious. He was really nice. But he just lurked in my kitchen. And yes, it takes you ages to get used to the fact that there's somebody standing behind you. It's really creepy. But in plus side, I have had people wake me up and tell me to lock the front door, blow the candle out, turn the gas off. So it is actually sometimes a bit of a positive. Nobody wants to give me winning lottery numbers though, unfortunately. I have tried.
Like animals, dogs, they can sense this stuff, can't they?
Yes.
You see the dog looking into the corner, or just looking to the top of the stairs and things like that?
Yeah. Since I've reignited this, my dog used to be very, very skittish. She's very big, and she would wee and panic. If you opened a packet of crisps, she would have a wee. Something in our house, the energy was wrong. Since I've reignited this, she's like the calmest dog on the planet. But sometimes I'll think something and she'll just look and you go, "Yeah, you can see that too." But she doesn't bark, she doesn't freak out anymore. She just sits there or hangs out on the sofa and just chills. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting part of my life. My biggest fear with it was, I said to my trainer and my mentor, I said, the ridicule I'm going to get when I say it out loud. I can read your mind. I can tell you this, I can do that. And she went, "Ness, 50% of the people that know you don't like you anyway. Just do it." That was a big thing to take in. But yeah, love me or hate me, I still know what you've done.
Everybody thinks the mind is within just the skull, but there's an energy.
It's everything.
And a connectivity as well. There's a connectivity. I'll tell you a story. A couple of months ago, my partner Vicky said, we live near a place called Newmiller Dam, which is a lovely place to have a walk around, a stretch of water. And Vicky said, "Do you know which famous person's been there recently?" And I just fired it off. I'd not read this, but it was Pierce Brosnan. Now, I'm a James Bond fan, and obviously that's in my kind of sphere of knowledge, in my head and everything like that. But I'd not read that. I'd definitely not read that. I know that you can sometimes read things and forget, but I honestly don't believe that I had that knowledge. I don't really go for trivia.
It just comes to you. Mine, people say, is it your memory or something, or is it what you're seeing as a medium? And I always explain my mediumship as, if it's spirit, it's like the camera's just very slightly out of focus. So it might be a memory that I'm triggering to tell somebody something, but it's out of focus, so I know it is actually a message from spirit. It's quite weird. It's quite weird.
People think you need to learn something for it to be in your memory, or sorry, not your memory, your for you to be able to know it. So knowing is not necessarily something that you've experienced. It's something you can tap into.
Yeah.
And
Every single person on the planet is capable of intuition, especially especially parents. You know when your kid's sick. You know, and you know when your car it ain't right, and you get that feeling. You know that something's wrong. You know it's not going to be a good day for you. You know, and you ignore it as a normal human being, or you just get over it. People like me can't. Once it's in, and until I've said it or done it, it's got to come out. It's very frustrating sometimes.
and I think they want us to. It comes back to that compliance and obedience, and wanting us to think the same, wanting us to. The teacher at school, you've got 5 senses, but you've actually got these higher faculties. Bob Proctor famously used to say you've got intuition, you've got these higher faculties which are more than your 5 senses, and you've got to listen to these, and they'll guide you.
Definitely, but some people choose to ignore it. They choose not to believe. That is absolutely their right. Totally. My mother was completely and utterly against anything like this at all, and shut it down completely. And when she passed away not too long ago, it was like somebody had flicked the switch back on for me. So I was like, wow, this is very overwhelming. I'd get very upset very quickly, cry for no reason, get angry for no reason, because it wasn't me. I couldn't understand what was going through my head. And then when I spoke to these other medium, the other brilliant group of people, they were like, no, it's not you. Sometimes when you're shouting or you're crying or you're jumping up and down about something, it's actually not you. It's somebody telling you to tell somebody something. You just can't hear it. And now I can hear it. Everything in our house is a lot calmer. A lot calmer. Because it did get a bit out of control at one point. Because you're like, wow, that's weird. But as I say, people choose to believe, they choose not to believe. I believe. 10%. And all I ever want to do with this is give people some peace of mind, maybe some guidance from whoever's not here anymore, that forgiveness, that extra love, that mental cuddle that they didn't get to give that person. I want somebody to come through and say, I heard you say you love me, even though you thought I'd already gone. They're one of my favourites. I love that. Because it's people's biggest... Did they know I loved them enough? And to be able to tell them that with their name and how they look and even what clothes they were wearing, to be able to part with that information and give that person that love, that's a really amazing feeling. And if I could do it for free without having to pay a mortgage, I would. But I really want to pay my mortgage. So, but it is a buzz. It is a buzz.
Yeah, I can tell you speak really passionately about this, and it's something that means a lot to you. What's your... Excuse me, I've not read your book, but tell me a bit about your book, and then you've got some more books on the horizon, and
right,
what...
Yeah. Back in the day in GCSEs, in the 90s, for your GCSE English, you had to write a part of a chapter of a book, randomly. I had recently, unfortunately, seen a really unpleasant car accident, and I kind of felt like I needed to offload it. So I wrote it, but as if I was in the car. And I got top marks, and my English teacher said that is possibly one of the best things I've ever read. When you are older, that needs to be in a novel, in a book. And before he died, he did actually get a copy of my whole book. Thank God. But it's about 90s London, gangsters, sex, violence, love. It's got a bit of everything in there. And it's appealed to loads of different people. People I never thought would have said, I really enjoyed your book. I was like, right, you actually read it. And a lot of men like it. It's a bit romancy, Ness, but I like the violence and I like the rest of that. I like the vibe. It's got a good vibe. There's a lot of comedy value from things I learnt when I was a bouncer, things that we used to say to each other. Some of those comments are in there. A couple of scenarios have been flipped on their head and put in. It was just a fun thing to do. And then to actually be published was amazing. And to see somebody reading it on a beach once was probably one of the best feelings I've ever had. Because I walked past her, looked at it and went, oh! And then I went running back and went, do you like it? And she went, oh, it's brilliant, you've got to read it. And I went, I wrote it. Which was it was lovely to have the compliment, so.
That's amazing. When did you know it was finished, your book? When did you know it was complete?
I finished it before I actually met my now husband, who was an amazing human being. And when we got together, we had a really cheap laptop, so it got moved onto a laptop, and he read a bit of it, and he went, that just needs a little bit more, babe, and I think you've got it. So I played with it for a little bit more, and I probably added an extra 2 chapters, and then I was sitting at our dining table, and I went, pour the wine, it's done. I'd read it twice, I'd read all my sub-notes, I'd checked that all my dates were right and everything, and I was like, do you know what, we're done. We've got it covered. And we were listening to a playlist, and Phil Collins' Like China came on. And I was like, these lyrics are good for the genre of this. So that's why it ended up being called Like China. There's nothing about China in it. She doesn't leave the country. I think she goes to Corfu once. She doesn't leave the country. But yeah, and that's why it was called Like China. Because everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, definitely. And it's weird how it works, like the universe, in terms of how... Yeah, it's so weird.
It is. I mean, you could go through every scenario of, wow, that worked out better than I thought it was going to. Or the other end of that spectrum is, bloody knew I shouldn't have gone out last night. You wake up in the morning going, oh, that was a bad move, and I knew I shouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
So, but it's vibes. And if you're completely and utterly in touch with yourself and your personal surroundings, your life is so much bigger and so much better. Because you don't care. I recently had a tattoo when I'd spoken to my mentor, and she said, they're going to hate you, let them. I actually had a tattoo put on my wrist which says, let them. And every time I think about it, I just look down and go, right, do you know what, let them. Let them hate me, let them judge me, let them think I'm stupid, let them think I'm some sort of charlatan. Let them. If they don't believe, they don't believe.
Yeah, any publicity is bad publicity, isn't it? So it's the... Yeah, it's like I had a comment on one of my YouTube videos the other day, and I was talking, I was just talking about, like salaries these days. The average salary is about 35k in the UK, and it used to be able to get a mortgage and it was 3.5 times, and an house were about 100 grand, in the north anyway, England. And then these days, still the same, 35 grand, not really changed that much in last 15 years since the credit crunch. But then an house is 280, 290 grand, so it's like 9x. And somebody put a comment, which is, you probably know this quote, but it's the, you will have nothing and be happy. So it's like one that's going around. But he had to add to the end of it, you silly man or something. So he called me a silly man, and I've just ignored it and everything. But I thought, well, he's helping me. It's a comment. So even a good comment or a bad comment, I don't mind. Keep the hate coming. The haters are going to hate and everything. And the thing is, I think a lot of people are scared of coming off the beaten path and doing something and trying something. And
nobody wants to be the person to stand out. It's like when I had my gastric surgery, I wasn't ashamed that I'd had it done. I was over 18 stone. I tried pretty much everything, and I was really depressed, very depressed. And my husband said, let's get it fixed, babe. And then I started doing, after about a year or so, I'd lost quite a lot. And this year, I am brave enough to sit in front of a camera, talk about how big I was, what's changed, how it's changed, have other people changed about me. And I've got about 20 videos on my social media platforms of me just talking utter rubbish about what changes after gastric surgery. And the amount of DMs I get from people saying, do you know, I've just watched that, thank you so much for actually having the nuts to say that out loud. Because people are ashamed. And then I was accused of fat shaming not long ago. And I'm like, well, if you're fat, that's a you problem, mate. I didn't want to be fat, so I did something about it. And I'm not a burden on the NHS. I'm not a burden on my family. I'm actually an active participant in my family life now. Because I can get on a canoe, I can get on a push bike, I can walk up the stairs without being out of breath, because I'm 9 stone dripping wet. So, but yeah, that was another big achievement for me. And being brave enough to shout about it, I'm proud of myself. I've spent a lot of my life not being proud of myself, for one reason or another, not necessarily my issues. But yeah, but now I am, and I'm going to shout, I'm going to bang my own drum. I'm going to bang my husband's drum, I'm going to bang my son's drum, I'm going to bang my friends' drums, my colleagues, whatever, because drums need banging, that's what they're there for.
It's like what I'm noticing, I'm 46 this year, there's a kind of freedom in starting to care less about what people think, and it comes with, I think, self-confidence and self-esteem comes with showing up for yourself, putting inputs in, proving that you can do it, and becoming the 2.0 version of yourself. And let's say we've got a big goal, which is up here, and we're like 1.0 version. If we show up and we've got the old paradigm, which is going to try and keep us in the comfort zone, but if we keep chipping away at it, then we'll eventually become that new version and hit that goal. But we've got to become that new version to hit that goal, because you've got to change, and that old person will be no more.
You've got to change. You've got to not be ashamed of who you are. You've got to be not ashamed to walk away from toxic friendships, family members.
That's a big one.
Yeah, massive. I mean, you and I could probably have this conversation all day. I got to the point, my mother had just died. Everybody was like, oh, that's really awful. And I'm like, yeah, it is, but I don't actually miss her. I'm really enjoying the peace and quiet in my life right now. That was a big deal for me to say. But I said it, and as soon as I had said it, I felt a lot better. Because I wasn't pretending. And then lots of other things have changed. Oh, actually, I don't like you, so I'm not going to hang around with you anymore. Because I don't like you, I don't like your energy, I don't like your attitude, I don't like the way you flirt with my husband. So, do you know what? Be gone. I didn't like where we lived. Moving. Problem solved. And we've changed, we've evolved as a couple off the chart. Off the chart. And we are in such a better place as a couple with our son now than we were 5 years ago, all day long. People hate me, people will say nasty things about me. I've got people, luckily, in the room that will back me if I'm not in it. I've got people that will laugh and agree with them. That's fair enough, let them. I don't care. I want to be me. I don't want to be her daughter, her sister. You know, I want to be me. It's taken me, I hit 50 last week for that to happen. Yeah, going forward, you know, I'm loving this. I've never done a podcast before. I'm doing it. I'm being a bit brave. I'm out there having a waffle about nothing. You probably won't even use this one. I'm talking rubbish. I've got exciting things happening over the summer with my husband, holidays and things. Just little silly things that I'm really looking forward to, because I can actively be involved now. I'm not just going to be holding the towels and the mobile phones and the bags. So that's super exciting.
Should be proud of yourself, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
We're all a work in progress, though, and
it's never too late to start the change. It's never too late to say, do you know what? Yeah, that wasn't a great part of my life. We'll leave that where we found it and we'll move on. Because we're not starting from scratch, we're starting from experience. You won't do that again.
I think a lot of people get stuck in the past and just, you know, you've got to be in the present. You've got to look forward, but you've got to be in the present moment as well. And, you know, be mindful and enjoy things and work towards something as well. So self-improvement's one of the big pillars of my life, really, and just like leveling up and all that kind of thing. So yeah, how do you do a lot of stuff? How do you kind of fit it all in? And
absolutely no idea, because I still have time to do nothing occasionally. I start work very early in the morning. Work. Social media gets done fresh in the mornings, every day, 5 days a week.
what kind of time?
I'm usually in front of my desk by 6.
Okay, yeah.
With my husband, we usually have about 5. Have a bit of us time, coffee, tea, whatever. Get in front of the computer. And then whatever my day brings. It might be a manic day, it might be quite a deaf day. Excuse me. And then the mediumship started slipping in, like slots throughout the day and the evenings, which is working really, really well. I sometimes open the document for my next book and maybe write a few lines and then close it. And then I'll go and do mum stuff, like making beds and shopping and doing laundry and mopping and things like that. And then I go back to my desk. So yeah, I fit a lot in 5 days because I categorically, unless it's an absolute emergency, I do not entertain working on Saturday. You have to excuse my hay fever.
Sorry, I've been suffering from that as well.
Oh, it's shocking at the minute.
It's been so bad. It's like last year, I think I just had like local honey. Last year, I don't think I had many antihistamines. I might have had 5 or 6. This year, the last 2 weeks have been horrendous for me. And it comes on so suddenly with me. I get the pain.
And it's all in my chest. And then I took, on Saturday, in my brilliance, because I decided it was my birthday and I was going to drink, we were on a boat on the Norfolk Broads, and I said, I better have a Piriton. So I took one before we left, took one when we got there, then I took another one because it didn't feel like it had kicked in, and I worked out that I was probably drunker than I should have been because I think I had 6 throughout the whole day, and it didn't touch it. I was still, my eyes were puffy. Shocking. And I said, put something on social media. I said, does anybody else? I must have about 100 comments. Oh, it's terrible this year. It's terrible. It's bonkers.
This is what somebody told me. So, the work for the NHS paramedic, and they were doing some event, emergency tent cover. You know, where people get caught and they go to the emergency tent at an event. And he said, a lot worse this year. The pesticides that are putting in the fields are more intense, and that's kind of aggravating the pollen. So I've been doing this. It's not been touching the size with me when I've been having the tablets. So I've had to upgrade. I've gone and got myself some local honey. That's another thing. I've been stacking that. And I think you've got to microdose that over time and do that consistently. It doesn't work straight away, the honey. And then I've started having migraine tablets, but then having to do guided meditation as well. So it gets so bad with me. Vicky, my partner's bought me these cold compressors which stick on, and it goes over this eye basically. It's like a sinus thing as well. It gives me like a dicky tummy, turns my stomach and everything. It's horrendous, and it's been worse that I've ever had it.
It's even affected my hearing. It's like almost stifled. It feels like flu.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the amount of people that are agreeing, saying, yeah, absolutely, it's definitely the worst year so far.
But I feel it coming on, and then 5 minutes later, it's so intense. And then, like, when the antihistamines weren't, I don't know the names of the tablets, but I call it a blue one and a green one, a packet. I have 2 of them a day. So 1 of each. And then the migraine tablets I'll have one of those if I need it. And that's been working well. So I don't think I've had it, touch wood, since Tuesday. Or it might have been, we're on Thursday. Yeah, so Tuesday, a couple of days ago. And then, but yeah, I'm like, I'm not wanting it again.
Please don't. You think you can keep your hay fever?
We don't want the hay fever, do we? Yeah. So yeah.
Somebody else said, "Oh, maybe it's a new strain of COVID." You're like, here we go.
COVID is apparently still out there.
It apparently is, but
yeah, but
I'm going with really bad hay fever.
Yeah. I won't be doing any more jib jabs anyway. But
no. I only took a jib jab so I could go and see my dad when he was in a care home.
Yeah, I had 2 jib jabs.
Go and see him.
I had 2, never anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Last question then. So what does the future look like for you? What are you looking for? You got your books coming out then, your social media business is going well. You've got some lovely clients. Your psychic medium business, you're obviously really passionate about that as well. So you're really super busy. What next? You're going to bring out your books and what else?
I'm going to throw a lot more of my own personal energy at the psychic mediumship, without a doubt. it brings me joy, and I know that it brings other people joy, and that's a buzz for me in itself. So yeah, plethora of words will carry on because I love the clients I work with, and that's brilliant. Like China is still in stock on Amazon and in bookshops, so that's absolutely fine. If I get time, I will attempt to smash out a second book, but you know what? I've ticked that box, I've done it. So I'm happy with that as it is. But the social media, the psychic mediumship side of things is the thing I'm really going to throw myself at, for sure. I'd love that to be quite a big part of my life, because I'd wasted so much time ignoring it because other people told me that it was wrong. So for me, this is all about me playing catch up. So my husband said, you must have about 40 years worth of unread emails in your psychic head. And I was like, yeah, probably. That's a lot of spam to get through, baby girl. I was like, yeah, tell me about it.
Well, all that backlog of psychic emails, yeah. And if anybody requires that service, is it one-to-ones or the group sessions or both?
I currently only do one-to-ones. If somebody's local to me, I'm happy to have them round. I do love a face-to-face, but they've been working really well on Zoom and WhatsApp calls, like video calls for people. Yeah, if anybody wants anything of me, they just look me up on Facebook under Ness Streete. I am the only one. You can't miss my presence on Facebook. I am on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn and everything else, but if anybody wants any of my services or has any questions about how to become an author, anything at all, just look me up on Facebook, drop me a DM, and I'll always reply.
And you're doing your videos quite a bit, aren't you? You're doing your little vlog, and I like those, I watch those. What's the, is that to market yourself? Is that an outlet, a creative outlet, or what?
Creative outlet. People DM me all the time and say, I don't want you to tell anybody I'm thinking about having surgery. And I think, do you know what, I could just answer you in a DM, or I could give that knowledge out to everybody on a video. So I always reply, yes, I've got your DM, I will reply.
Leverage.
I get all these crazy DMs, and then I'll do a video of what they've asked me without obviously saying who they are, and just chuck it out. And then I'll get another one from somebody else, go, oh, actually, can you answer that for me? Or did that change? And you've seen a couple of them. I mean, a couple of them were a bit naughty. It took me ages to decide what to say about that one. Do we need to have that conversation? But everything changes when you have this done. And I didn't want to just reply to one person, because if that one person's thinking about it, hundreds or thousands of other people might be thinking about it too. So I'll just give that knowledge out. It's like emptying my head out of all the things that have changed and all the processes that you go through to literally be half the human you were.
Was there a time that you were a bit more closed off with your knowledge?
Yeah.
And did that change?
Yeah. I was told categorically in my youth that it was wrong.
What, to share knowledge, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't something that was going to get that particular human something they wanted, we weren't going to get involved. So now I don't have that issue anymore. People got a question, I'll answer it. Somebody asked me something on LinkedIn the other day, and they said, oh, I'll pay you for that. I was like, I don't want you to pay me, it's going to take me 2 seconds. Yeah, I can introduce you to that person, I can introduce you to that company, not a problem, mate, not a problem at all. You know, thanks for connecting, and great. I hope it works. And it's the same for the weight loss. People are terrified of the unknown. I was terrified. I actually woke up from my op thinking I'd be thin, bonkers. But if I can give anybody anything from my experience of life at 50, ask away. As long as you're kind, ask away. Because one of the biggest questions is everybody going to be weird about me? And I'll be like, yeah, you all have really jealous people in your life because you've lost loads of weight and you look younger now than you did 5 years ago.
Are they usually just unhappy about their lives? They just reflect it?
They just ping it back at you.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, thanks for the hate. Really appreciate that.
It's just shining a mirror. You're just shining a mirror at them.
Yeah, just bin them off.
Yeah, because you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. So if you've got negativity around you, negativity is an energy, and the energy is low. So you don't want to be around that, do you?
You
The
want to be
energy
around
vampires
people that just
lift you up.
love you and respect you. They're the people you want around you. You don't need loads of people around you. You need the right people around you. And it's taken me a very, very, very long time to figure that out. It's very liberating now I've worked it out.
Mm, mm. It's about having self-respect. Not allowing yourself to be, around those
Yeah, you don't need
kind of
that
people.
negativity in your life.
No, and I've tried to change people in the past, and they've not changed. And people need to change, so you do need to cut them out, and that's where I've learnt as well. I've learnt that lesson. Well, it's been lovely. You've got
Thank you, Have.
the prom prepare for
Our
with you.
son Noah, TTC prom. Can't believe I'm the mother of a 16-year-old who's wearing the most expensive pair of shoes in the house this evening, but there you go. So yes, I'm going to go and get him primed and ready and deliver him. Luckily, my husband and I are not involved in this year's after party. So I haven't got a very big clean-up operation to deal with tomorrow, so that makes me very happy.
Oh God, that's easier then.
I would have done it if they'd have asked me to, but I wouldn't have offered. But we're going to go and get him ready for that, get him all glammed up.
Brilliant.
And thank you very much. This has been so much fun.
You glad you did it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, really, really glad. I'd love to do another one on just random topics, just chatting.
Yeah, we'll do another one. We'll
just do random chatting.
Yeah.
We could do one in the evening with a beer.
Yeah, I don't drink anymore, but you can have a beer.
Glass of wine. No, I'm promising myself I'm not having a drink till I've dropped him off today.
Yeah, I just have a sparkling water.
Bless you.
Yeah, it's been about 3 years. Cut it out, it was slowing me down. I'm pretty clean living now. I have coffee, but that's good for you, I think. Some people
I'm trying
think
to
it's
cut
bad
the
for you.
caffeine right down because it's affecting my sleep.
Yeah, it can do. Yeah, that's my only vice now, caffeine. Yeah. Well, it's been lovely. If anybody wants to find you besides Facebook, do you hang around on any other socials or anything like that?
I am on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, as Ness Streete with an E on the end. So, yes. And if anybody wants to connect with me or ask Divvy questions about weight loss or psychic stuff or social media, please feel free to drop me a DM and I will be more than happy to have a conversation.
Brilliant. Right, I'll see you soon then.
Thank you very much.